Can we ensure that we're not over-leveraged on any one of these platforms, which are becoming increasingly unpredictable?
You're listening to the Affiliate Marketing Podcast brought to you by affiliatemedia.com, the chapter and verse of everything you need to know about running a successful affiliate program for your business. Now, here's your award-winning affiliate and performance marketing host, an industry veteran, your affiliate marketing guide, and the founder of Affiverse, Leanne Johnston.
When algorithms shift and platforms change their rules overnight, how do the biggest publishers in affiliate marketing stay ahead? In today's episode, we're diving into the digital trenches with Luke Watkin, Commercial Director at MVF Global, as he shares the raw reality of navigating 2024's turbulent marketing landscape. From Meta's sudden policy changes to TikTok's near shutdown, Luke reveals how his team manages multi-million-dollar campaigns when the ground keeps moving beneath their feet. You'll discover why the smartest publishers are completely rethinking their traffic strategies and how MVF turned potential disaster into a 400-piece editorial win. Plus, Luke shares his candid take on the PayPal honey controversy that kicked off 2024 with a bang. Get ready for an eye-opening journey into the publisher's world where data intelligence meets strategic pivots and success depends on mastering the art of adaptation. Welcome to this week's Affiliate Marketing Podcast with me, your host, Leanne Johnston. And today I'm super excited because I've got Luke Watkin, who I actually met at Elevate last year, coming onto this podcast to talk a little bit about what's happening publisher side. Luke works at MVF Global, and I'm really excited to have him here today. So I'm going to keep quiet and introduce you, Luke. Welcome onto the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you very much for being here. Yeah, I have to say I really enjoyed Elevate as an event. I can't wait for next time, and I'm really delighted to be here.
Yeah, so let's introduce you to my podcast audience because they are all around the world. Tell us a little bit about how you got into the publisher world. Tell us a little bit about MVF Global for those of you listening that haven't ever heard of this business before.
Absolutely. So MVF, we're a world-leading customer generation and media business based in London. And my role at MVF is as a commercial director for the B2C division. Commercial director is kind of like a general sort of manager role. I look after a team of about 50 pros working on media buying, marketing, sales, ops. So it's pretty broad. Within the B2C division, we work on a lot of different verticals. So we're pretty diverse. Financial services, healthcare products, but also home services. And we have a real kind of big focus sort of over the last couple of years on eco products for the home. So things like solar panels and heat pumps. And we drive a lot of leads for brands and our clients through our websites.
Yeah, and you've got a few websites, and we can link to those in the podcast as well for people that are interested in getting on board those sites. But the reason why I wanted to bring you in today is because, we've had a lot of hot topics in affiliate marketing at the start of this year. We came out of the door for New Year's with a bang. There was a lot of hot topics being discussed. Towards the end of last year, we had a lot of, SEO challenges that impacted a lot of publishers. And I suppose that's probably the best place to start this podcast because we're going to be picking into your brains, publisher side. What are some of the challenges that publishers faced with the recent SEO algorithms, and were you guys affected, and if not, why?
Yeah, I guess the short answer is yes. We were definitely affected. I think any business relying on any amount of organic traffic would have been, and if they said they weren't, they'd be lying. I think our team working on our sites has done an incredible job, but it has been stressful. B2C at MVF is actually a business that historically has been driven by paid marketing, paid media, but we've spent years building our brands and building in new revenue streams as a deliberate, long-term and expensive strategic investment to diversify. And obviously, it really hurts, particularly when you get that feeling that the algorithm updates that we see from Google, particularly last year, where it felt like we had a new algorithm update every other week.
It's kind of face, basically.
And I've seen kind of firsthand, we've got an amazing team. So our biggest brand is the ecoexperts.co.uk. And I've seen our team led by Roland Ellison. They've done an amazing job. The site is fantastic. Our clients love it. And we just kind of got hit like 2-3 times last year with these massive kind of hammer blows that really tank traffic. And so there's a lot of hard work kind of at the time, it feels like it's going to waste, but obviously you have to kind of have faith in your plan and just kind of keep going.
So what are some of the kind of like strategies that your team did? Because obviously you've got clients, you've got, campaigns that are running midway through. Did you have to like pivot to paid to kind of fulfill those contracts and then kind of come up with a long-term SEO strategy to kind of backfill whatever was missing? Like, how did your team actually deal with that?
Yeah, so a really good example is the kind of solar panels as a category, as a vertical. It's obviously driven quite a lot by the news cycle. So when, let's say, a new kind of government grant is announced that helps consumers finance solar panels, we see a big spike in organic. We need to spend less on paid, and we're really happy with that. But or on the flip, when we have a kind of an algo update that really hurts us, we're fortunate that we do have a kind of a paid media machine that we can fall back on. But I know that, not all businesses are that fortunate, can rely on that. And so we also have to kind of take a look at, okay, how are we going to deal with this new environment that Google's giving us? Yeah. I guess biggest kind of takeaway I think I've taken last year is the importance of really good reporting and internal communication. So you can't stop these updates happening. You can't affect that, but you can affect how you deal with it. So our team did a really good job of kind of building dashboards to monitor the impact of the latest updates, communicate internally to the business. That meant that I could work with our head of marketing to kind of deliver volume elsewhere. But it was really tough. And this landscape is, who knows what's going to happen in the next couple of years. Just in the last couple, it feels like a lot's changed.
Don't forget it, a tempest, never mind a storm. The thing that I want to kind of bring across here, guys, is that from an affiliate manager's perspective, like often we do a campaign and we just forget about how that traffic is coming in. And so hearing your side in terms of how you reacted, what you did, like a lot of affiliate managers don't see any of this stuff happening in the background unless they've got really good relationships with the partners that they're working. But bigger media publishers, I mean, they probably don't. So the reason why I wanted to ask that question was just to kind of bring you on and show how data intelligent publishers with the level of traffic that you guys drive are actually being within your business. And all of that comes at a cost. So when you're kind of commercially negotiating on the flip side as an affiliate manager, it's not just the traffic costs that you're thinking about. It's all the kind of resources, the tools, everything that you're using in your business to actually make sure that those campaigns can be met and those targets can be driven. Now, talking about tools, like my favorite question to ask everybody is like, how are you guys looking at and perceiving AI? Because on the affiliate manager side, a lot of people are really worried. They are not sure how to actually integrate AI to augment their businesses. But I think on the affiliate side, on the publisher side, you guys are looking at it in a very different way to us. So talk us through how AI is making an impact in your business, and what are some of the ways that you're using AI tools now in order to augment and deliver and scale more for your clients?
Yeah, sure. I think to become too political straight away, but like we've seen our own Prime Minister has fallen into the same kind of trap that we've seen probably all of our listeners can relate to. AI, we've got to find out as quickly as possible the most efficient way to use it. The truth is, just like everyone else, we're figuring it out as we go, and the pace of change is tremendous. And really, I have a slight mistrust of any kind of industry experts telling me they've fully cracked, because I just don't believe it, and because the models are exponentially improving kind of month by month. We are, I suppose, like many publishers, we're trying to figure out how to leverage AI for content creation. It's really risky, as we know, kind of relying on AI for creation. Better to use it for driving efficiency, more of the kind of nuts and bolts stuff, optimizing for specific keywords, helping to do some of the heavy lifting, and kind of using AI as a tool rather than letting AI kind of use us. Yeah, and we kind of, I always feel like it's important to be aware of what it can do well, what it does badly and what it can't do at all. And finding that combination between an AI efficiency but also your own teams or your own personality and humanity, that's the secret sauce that AI can't yet replicate. And as someone, I consider myself to be kind of a people first, sort of people centric leader. I'm looking at the next 5 years as that's going to be my strength when my kind of, the nitty gritty hands-on stuff can basically be outsourced to AI.
Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt that this year has been a challenging year. Now we've got to learn a whole new segment of the internet that's coming to the fore. And I actually really do believe that AI is going to change the way that we work in marketing, to no doubt.
Sure.
And it kind of feels like, and because I'm so old, it feels like how the internet was way back in the beginning. Like the first 5 years that I worked in the internet, mobile phones started to become a big thing.
Yeah.
Apps started to become a big thing. And we were all naysayers going, yeah, nobody's ever going to use their phone to go online. Like, why are we creating web pages that are mobile friendly? And look at us now. It's like a whole ecosystem of the internet that took off and is still growing year on year. So I think the advice is not to ignore AI, but to think about how it integrates into your business and start to channel it and use it and see how efficient you can get. But I really also agree with you. I don't believe it's going to replace people, because people still buy people. That's how this business works. Affiliate marketing works through people and relationships.
Well, you're a perfect example of that, and Advertise is a perfect example of that. And that discussion about partnerships is how we first tend to meet each other. And I must correct for the records your false statement that you are too old. I don't believe our listeners will believe that. But apart from that, yeah, you're spot on.
Thank you. Right. Now I'm going to tackle the hard bit, which is recent policy and tracking controversies and trends, because we really want to I ask a lot of affiliate managers about this and everybody has an opinion, but from a publisher side, we don't get to have those kinds of conversations, which is kind of why you're in my hot seat today. But let's talk a little bit about some of the key issues that you highlighted to me when we spoke. And I'm going to start with the channels first. So Meta, their moderation changes. And then after that, we can talk a little bit about TikTok and how that's impacted your business and the regulatory changes that are happening there. So talk us through, well, first of all, educate us. Like, what are those moderation changes that have happened in Meta that have impacted you and some of the other changes? And then we can talk about the regulatory impacts and how that affects you as a publisher.
Sure. I guess even in the last few weeks since we last spoke, there's been all sorts of things happening coming out of the US, mostly related to the reappointment of Donald Trump as president, but even taking politics out of it, which is not easy to do at the best end.
No.
For advertisers, this is shaping up to be like a very turbulent period.
Yeah.
I'm reserving judgment for now. I would have argued that since Elon Musk's takeover of Twitter and what would many would describe as a subsequent kind of profit put up, that has not been good news for either publishers, whose content kind of sits alongside less safeguarded content. It's not great news for advertisers, who likewise kind of have to think about things like brand safety, and it's not great for end users. But it's also allowed Elon Musk a seat in the White House in government. So from a commercial perspective, I'm surprised that Mark Zuckerberg would kind of risk the success of what, Facebook is basically the world's most successful ever advertising money printing machine. Yeah. And to risk that seems strange, but I suppose, politically speaking, it's a trade-off that he probably thinks makes sense.
Yeah.
The other change, so I'll give you an example of, it's probably gone under most people's radars, but it's one that we're dealing with at MDF is some healthcare ad policy changes. So a new meta policy regarding data exchange of health and wellness information. We're looking at a policy that for our healthcare business, which is a pretty substantial part of our revenues, with about a month's warning, a policy decision from Meta that means we have to completely redo and rework our entire paid media strategy. We're fortunate that we've got some alternatives and we're working really hard on that. But it's this kind of, put it this way, whatever your personal view, it's difficult to argue that as an advertiser or a publisher, this kind of unilateral decision making is a good thing, and all the more reason, thinking back to the the Google changes in SEO or the Meta changes in paid policy, whatever your business, is really important to pursue a strategy of diversification. And that's really been, for me, like in the last 18 months, what it's all about. Can we ensure that we're not over leveraged on any one of these platforms, which are becoming increasingly, I guess, unpredictable?
I mean, this, taking what you're saying to me and kind of articulating it over into the affiliate managers, like, why should I care model is, if you are overly invested, like I bang on about segmenting your affiliate program all the time and making sure that you're working with lots of different publishers and that you're not over invested in any one like segment. A lot of the programs that I look at, they're heavily invested in cashback and coupon sites for volume, which is absolutely fine, but they're not diversifying into other channels. And what you've just said now, actually, I want the penny to drop if you're listening to this. Whilst it's great that your affiliates and your publishers are bringing in traffic from multiple different sources like TikTok, Meta, X, wherever, recognize that at any given time, your publishers are working in a highly volatile market. Somebody makes a decision somewhere, changes a policy, and it has a knock-on effect to the rest of your business. And not just the fact that the traffic stops, but the reaction time that your publishers can take to it and actually, build succession plans and, find alternative sources. That all impacts your business and your kind of sales projection line as it's going forward. So you've got to think broader than just what you're looking at in your own reports. And you've got to understand what goes on in the background on the publisher side, depending on what kind of publisher you're working with. And you need to be watching what is happening in the news. Like, I'm actually quite proud of the fact that Affiverse is number one in Google for affiliate marketing news. And we're kind of looking at a lot of the political and socioeconomic things that are taking place from outside of the affiliate industry and bringing that in and actually saying, this is how it impacts you. And a lot of the time, I keep telling younger affiliate managers coming in, your job is not just to look at your own stats. Your job is to look everywhere else and figure out how does that impact my stats. And I guess the same, it's what you've just said now. It's the same for publishers. You're kind of focused on finding traffic sources and nurturing those traffic sources at a price point that you can make profit from, pay your employees, pay for all of those tools that you need in order to make it happen. And we're kind of like just looking at you as a number on a page in a report going, can you get me more if I pay you more? So it's really important that people understand what goes on behind the scenes to build a publishing company and an affiliate company and how these regulatory changes can really impact your business. Now, we spoke about Meta and we spoke about X and, all of the policy changes that are happening there. We've actually reported recently in our Affiverse magazine about how some iGaming companies are misusing the comments feature in X. So if you want to read about that, go and check out our magazine. But from a regulatory standpoint, like TikTok literally got switched off for roughly a day and then got turned on again. I mean, the stress levels of publishers when that happened, like talk me through that. Like what was going on in your office when that news came out?
I think like everyone else, we were kind of caught between thinking, TikTok's this huge app. It just like I said before about Meta, it's a huge kind of money machine. And we were thinking, there's no way, this is brinkmanship. There's no way it's actually going to be kind of shut down.
Yeah.
But then again, we're talking about issues kind of far more macro than the sort of environment we're used to operating in. You're talking about the relationship between the US and China. And, so how can you even begin to speculate? I guess you really hit the nail on the head with the with what you just said. And I was listening to a previous version of your podcast this morning, actually. I think it was your colleague, Ian, that commented that, there could be a trend this year to see affiliate becoming more of a part of their mix than it has been, and performance marketing becoming And I thought, well, it's always been in vogue, and it's more and more important to be now when we're in this environment. But what I would say, because I don't want to be accused of kind of fear-mongering, for me, it's an incredibly exciting time, as well as a kind of a scary one, to be working in digital. And I really kind of, it's really interesting following how kind of the real world events that we're talking about can shape our environment, but also vice versa, how we can kind of, how we can shape our businesses in relation to what's going on in the world.
Yeah. So I'm going to put you in the hot seat now because we're going to talk about the elephant in the room. Everybody's got an opinion on what happened with the Honey PayPal controversy, should I say, that started us off this year. So as an affiliate, like, what is your view on that story? Because to me, I mean, I was a little bit like, okay, so there's this sensational video that's been delivered, but we all kind of knew that this was happening. And they weren't not open and honest about how they tracked. Do you know what I mean? Like, the onus was really on the program, the advertising managers to decide how they wanted to deal with that, and then talk to their tracking solutions and make sure that their tracking is set up to actually accommodate all of that stuff. So what was your kind of viewpoint when all that news broke from a publisher perspective? Like, were you upset? Did you just like kind of look at it like I did and go, well, we've been talking about this for 15 years. Like, what's the big news? It was just the way that it was broken. And I think, yeah, maybe the visibility of it that kind of kickstarted a whole massive conversation on social.
I think that final point is probably the kind of the optimistic way of looking at it. Like, it started a conversation about something that, like we say, has been kind of bubbling away for a long time. Like, I'm not super close to the story or to Honey. It's not a service I've used, but it seems to me like just another, really important reminder that the lines of trust and transparency in affiliate, in digital as a whole, are constantly being tested and blurred at the moment, and points to that kind of slightly scary environment I've alluded to a few times. And the feeling that, when I started, maybe not quite as long ago as you, but it was about 15 years ago I was in email marketing as a email affiliate. And it always kind of felt like the dice was loaded and the game was slightly rigged. And this is just one really high profile example of that coming into the open domain. But the fact that it is now out in the open, we're getting kind of more interesting takes on what it means, and what it means for attribution, what it means for partnerships.
To be honest, I think it's spurred education. It's spurred, on the advertiser side, hello, your people need to know what's happening in your program, and your tracking need to be transparent. And you need to be understanding what is your why. Like, what do you want these affiliates to do for you? And what segment are they meant to be focusing on? Because if you can't control your strategy, how on earth do you expect affiliates to do it for you?
Well, exactly. Yeah.
So for me, I'm quite happy about it because I think it spurred some interesting conversations. It's got people around the table to talk, because we do operate in silos in affiliate marketing because it's so competitive. Everybody does things their own little way, and there's no kind of best practice, standardized version. I mean, there are for certain verticals, but like the industry has grown so fast in the last 20 years that it's impossible to kind of keep up with the change and make everybody sing off the same hymn sheet, because everybody's got a very different way of why they want to engage publishers, what they want publishers to do for them. And I think that's the starting point, is understand your why. You don't understand your why, don't go and work with publishers and ask them to just promote you, because they need to understand your why in order to meet the brief,
Yeah.
Okay, so MVF has a B2C arm and a B2B arm. So I just want to touch a little bit on like what you guys do there, because B2B and B2C are very different, but we have seen an explosive growth in B2B programs. So programs that actually want to work with other B2B businesses.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about how your business kind of services that market and what you're seeing from your side. I mean, is that something that's growing really quickly? Are you looking to kind of expand that and kind of, fly off the coattails of that growth? Because I think I saw a stat, or I mentioned a stat in a webinar a couple of weeks back. Just something like, it went from like 15 to like 330 billion or something in less than 10 years. Yeah. It was a really crazy number. So what do you guys do in that space?
Yeah, so I should firstly say that at NDF we have our B2C, our B2C division. Never the two shall meet, and there's a bit of a friendly library there. So if any of my B2C colleagues are listening, I apologise for having
trying to do them proud.
I know, but we actually, it's actually really interesting. We 18 months ago, she came from leading Futures, our B2B division. So she very much kind of it was that space, and her kind of joining us has coincided with a real like big focus on B2B. So like I do feel it, I do see it. But NVS, I suppose what it needs is better segmentation, better understanding of our audience and what makes them different, but also the kind of synergies they share. It's with the purpose of kind of serving a customer where we would have served them one product one time and then kind of moved on, creating a kind of an ecosystem of cross-sell B2B SaaS products. And one way we do that is by creating kind of segmentation and really investing in newsletters, which is obviously a channel that with things like Substack and others, a really huge channel. So we were investing in like many others in things like value-based bidding and lead scoring, working with a CDP and really trying to invest in data enrichment. And using first party data as a source of competitive advantage, because as you say, the market is so competitive and saturated. You really need that. As you have that first party data, you've got to leverage it.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about success stories, because you're on this podcast. So I want you to share some of your recent success stories where you've kind of scaled a client or worked with a client that maybe was a little bit different, or, maybe a little bit of a harder sell. Like, what are some of the things that you do at MBF that nobody else can, basically?
So thank you for asking. I've thought long and hard about this question.
Hard to pick one. But
I think I've got a really good one. So our website, the ecoexperts.co.uk, as I mentioned, it's a content site, but it's also a shop run, and it's also a paid media brand that we leverage for driving thousands and thousands of leads every week for solar businesses and other eco kind of facing brands.
Yeah.
And sort of midway through last year, the team embarked on a project, the National Home Energy Survey by Eco Experts. And that was a kind of an exhaustive survey of households, businesses, consumers in the UK on their energy usage. And we thought, this is a really high quality, it's the second or third time we've done it. This is a really high quality piece of work, but it needs sponsorship. It needs coverage. And so we were fortunate that our partners, Project Solar being the UK's largest installer of home solar panels, agreed to provide sponsorship for the National Home Energy Survey. And what that led to was, I think, 300, 400 pieces of editorial coverage all over the world and media. It allowed Project Solar to be kind of front and center on that survey. And it really solidified the brand trust that we have in the Eco Experts, and having that kind of association worked, I think, really well for both parties. So it was really a dream partnership. And I think it kind of, for us, it sort of exemplified the value of aligning brands with editorial content. I can't wait to do it again next year.
Cool. I think affiliate managers don't value editorial content. They don't know how to leverage it in their programs. And I think it's something that we definitely are going to be talking about at Elevate Summit this year. We actually want to talk more about PR on performance and how that actually works, and how to actually, calculate and set up and structure commercial deals around this. So you might be getting a call for me to come and moderate a panel there.
Fantastic.
Let's move to the future outlook of what's next. Like, what are the big picture trends that you're seeing that you want to kind of get your business hopping on? What are some of the things that, affiliates and affiliate managers can kind of glean from the trends that you're looking at this year?
Yeah, so we've covered a few things already, and really it's like, in a way, it's anybody's guess what could happen this year. As I said before, performance marketing and affiliate, we're in for a big year. It's always been in vogue, but I think this year especially.
It's finally cool. We're coming out of the room, and people are starting to take note, like 25 years later.
That's right, yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I think that aside, obviously, being really proactive about the kind of potential impact of the regulatory shifts we've talked about. If you're an advertiser who spends 100% of your budget on Meta, I'd be thinking, how can I diversify away?
Yeah.
If you're completely reliant on organic search, I'd be thinking, the next algorithm update could be kind of the difference between, keeping the lights on or not. So that's a really key one. First party data will become more and more important. Publishers who build kind of the most engaged audiences, who provide authentic content and kind of build brand equity and loyalty that way, they will probably dominate. And then I suppose and I can't kind of emphasize this enough, the diversification of channels. I think many affiliates are pretty good at this anyway, but, I think it's risky and it's also less fun. And, I think what I've really enjoyed in my role is having a budget for paid media, a budget for organic search, a budget for brand building and other new channels. And, it kind of just, maybe you're not putting all your eggs in one basket.
That's the best piece of advice, short and succinct, that I've heard this year to date, is don't put all your eggs in one basket. And you think about it, that is what actually makes affiliate programs successful, is by diversifying different traffic sources and reaching their customers in different niches. So I love that, because it's keep it simple, stupid. It's KISS. That's what it is. Like, just keep it really simple, and everything else will follow. So, Luke, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast, to hear a publisher's perspective of how you feel the industry is kind of turning out this year. I do 100% agree. We are in for a wild ride. It's exactly why we're doing what we're doing here, to help people to understand how to actually ride those waves, to surf those waves and actually survive them. I think it's going to be a tsunami. I really do. Like, there's a tsunami of stuff coming at us, and we're all going to have to learn how to navigate, from AI to regulation to channels that can turn on and off within a day. Like, all of it is just, it's either going to make us, super engaged and, excited about the channel that we're working in, or it's going to make us crazy and insane. So I think it's going to be a fun ride.
I think it'll do both. I think it'll make us crazy, but it'll make us better marketers. And I'm really excited to follow, how it pans out through Advertise and through your properties.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being on the podcast with us today and sharing your insights. Really, really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me. I'm privileged.
Get ready for the next issue of the Affiverse magazine. This edition is packed with exclusive insights and actionable strategies to help you grow your affiliate business like never before. Learn what affiliates must do to level up their SEO and traffic driving strategies with expert guidance designed to make an impact. Explore timely discussions and interviews around compliance, sustainability, and other emerging marketing trends reshaping the affiliate landscape today. Each issue of this magazine is a toolkit for affiliate program managers' success, offering leadership interviews, tactical advice, game-changing strategies, and more. Don't wait to take charge of your affiliate marketing strategy. Get your digital or print version of the Affiverse magazine today and start planning out your next 90 days for success. Visit affiversemedia.com and click on the magazine button to discover more. Take the next step towards leveraging your affiliate marketing potential now and help your affiliate program growth with our excellent 90-day affiliate planner.